In this session of Essentials, we're focusing on Ephesians 4:17-32. The groundwork has already been established that in hearing the gospel, the word of truth, which is about Jesus and his saving work, and believing it, both Jews and Gentiles are given a completely new status before God. They become swept up into his family and are proclaimed holy and blameless before him, despite the fact that they do not appear so, at least to the human eye. Paul has stated that prior to believing in Jesus, all people are children of wrath, quite incapable of living a holy life that's pleasing to God. Now, I think I can anticipate a question here. Wait a minute. I know people who are not Christian who live really good lives. They're generous, hardworking, loving. They live out ethically principled lives. They hardly fit the definition, children of wrath. And conversely, I know, come to think of it, people who are Christian, people who truly believe, and well, gosh, they're not really great ambassadors of Christian living. I've seen Christians lie and cheat and abandon themselves to truly decadent behavior. They look a lot like children of wrath. So why is it Paul is so sure that Group A, the non-believers, remain children of wrath, while Group B, believers, is proclaimed holy and blameless? This is the great conundrum of the gospel of grace. Our improved status before God is accomplished not by our merit, not by the way our life looks, but through the merit of his Son, Jesus. And for that reason, Christian believers do not necessarily appear more virtuous than non-believers. Nobody God would decide on such a procedure for assembling a holy people. It seems so silly not to have qualifying exams, weed out the ones that make Christian life look bad. But he doesn't. He gives grace through Jesus freely to all who will receive it. But that means that this church in Ephesus was filled with believers who had received a gift of grace and forgiveness, but had not learned what that meant for their behavior. In one section, you'll see he's actually talking about thieves not stealing anymore. So these are thieves that Paul recognizes are fully members of the church. Their hearts have been renewed, but their behavior is not. In Paul's language, by grace, their hearts were no longer hardened. But that had not resulted in a renewal of their mind, which requires active participation. So, Paul turns now to an explanation of what holy living, of what believing in Jesus does and does not look like. Renewing our mind, shaping our imagination, our ethical framework is a vital part of maturing as Christians. The thing about preaching a gospel of grace is we don't emphasize so much what works are going to look like, because we want so much for all to receive the gift that grace is. And if you talk too much about what your life has to look like, then people might forget the gift of grace. But the fact is that to mature as Christians, we cannot just let our moral life be formed by whatever teaching we had along the way, whatever culture supplied. We are required to subject every thought to the scrutiny of Jesus. And that is an active engagement of our intellect and involves choices about what books we read, what TV we watch, even the fantasies we let play out in our daydreams. We need purposefully to choose to renew our minds by learning. Paul goes to a standard instructive format called the 2 ways, which consists of putting side by side the wrong way and the right way. He admonishes the people to speak the truth, for they are members of one another. He says, anger should not be permitted to lead to sinful behavior. This is the part where he talks about thieves, you shouldn't steal anymore. So that instead, you thieves can labor and then give to the needy out of the money that you have accrued. No more evil coming out of the mouth, so that instead grace might build up the community of faith. And then I love this, an appeal not to grieve the Holy Spirit. Paul isn't just saying, don't break the rule because it might hurt you or it might hurt somebody else. He's saying that when we as Christians sin, we sadden the Holy Spirit deeply. It is a personal offense. And so we are commended to be tender-hearted, forgiving one another as God forgave us in Jesus. What a powerful distillation of what it means to be the church, to be a credible witness to the gospel we believe and proclaim.